So we've got the new moon in Pisces taking place on the 19th of March. That's Thursday. And it's at 28 degrees and a half, 28 degrees and a bit in the sign of Pisces. And that means it's just 1.5 degrees before we actually go to 0 Aries. Now, if you look at my mouse on this screen, you'll see that the new moon is down here. Right at the end, and 0 Aries is just here. Now, according to like the zodiac, there is an official beginning and an ending, even though it is a continuous circle. My mouse doesn't do a very good circle, by the way, or my hand doesn't. But that 0 Aries is our representation of the beginning. This is the opening paragraph, the opening word, the letter, the very first letter that starts a whole new story. And so we're really on the last page now. In fact, we're in the last chapter. We're on the last page, in the last paragraph, maybe actually the last letter of a whole book has just kind of been completed. So we are almost in this in-between stage, this liminal space between something new starting and something very profound ending, coming to an actual end. So what is this new moon about? That's what I'm going to be exploring in this. If you're new to this channel, by the way, my name's Louisa. I always look at astrology in I've got astrological background. I work as an astrologer, but I'm also an intuitive, and I love to see patterns, and I love to see the mythology in the story, and the sort of psychology behind the patterns. To do this, I'm going to be taking you through some of the aspects happening at the exact time of this new moon. I'm also going to be talking about the asteroids that also fit into this picture, i.e., what asteroids are either conjunct the new moon, in opposition to the new moon, or square to the new moon. And I'm also going to be looking at the Sabian symbol using Linda Hill's amazing Sabian symbols. So we should have a really good idea as to what this new moon represents. It seems to me to be quite an important one, given that I love midpoints as well. And so in between Pluto and Uranus, there's a midpoint that's just around about here. This new moon is not far from the Pluto and Uranus midpoint. So I think I might put a little bit of that in there as well. So let's have a look now and see what stories emerge. So I'm going to start here with the overall patterns. So first of all, new moon in Pisces. Like, new moon energy is all about coming to a pause, and then it's almost like this blank sheet of paper. It's like this blank space. And so I always think, coming up to a new moon, the more space we can create for ourselves, the more projects we put to the side, the more we clean up, the more we're purging, the better off we'll be. It's a great time for a spring clean, by the way. So we've got this blank sheet. And to me, this is us putting in a seed. And it's a seed that carries the energy of the sun and the moon. Now, if we think about the relationship of the sun and the moon, the sun is representing the masculine, the yang, the heat, the brightness. And the moon is really representing the intuitive, the feminine, the yin to the sun's yang. So in many ways, there is this balanced seed point taking us on an intuitive journey that we might need to take action on, and I always think whatever sign it's being born into, in this case is Pisces, there is a Pisces seed point. What is Pisces about? It's about the intuition. It's about the unconscious mind. It's laid back. It is easygoing. It's wanting a sense of peace and forgiveness. I really do think this is a journey of forgiveness for sure, but it's also generous. It's loving. It's kind. Now, it can be a little bit confusing. You've got the two fish swimming in a different direction. That's the symbol for Pisces. But this new moon is really showing, I think, that we're at a crossing point. We are saying goodbye to any confusion. We're saying goodbye to anywhere where our story no longer makes sense for us. And we're about to start a new story coming out of the ashes of what has already been. But we're going to be looking intuitively sensing our way forwards because it's a Pisces new moon. But this could be a new moon that's picking up on our dreams, our internalized intention work, our spirit, our need to connect. The urge to merge is really strong with Pisces. So our need for oneness, our need for peace of mind, our need for a soulful understanding of why we're here, our need for purpose. All of those things are not very easy to describe from a Western perspective, not tangible, not necessarily physical, but absolutely felt in the soul. So this, in many ways, is a reboot, a restart. And the fact that we've got the equinox the next day at the beginning of Aries, that's happening on the 20th, Friday the 20th. And also Mercury's going direct on Friday the 20th. To me, this is really the very first part of the story, and that is the imagination of it. So yeah, this new moon is encouraging us to imagine something, dream something really big, so that the very next day we start to get into action and we clear up any confusion that has happened in our communications. That's when Mercury goes direct. So yeah, it's interesting, very important one. Now, this new moon is also in a conjunction with Neptune and also Saturn. Now, they're both now in the sign of Aries. They're both in a conjunction. Now, Neptune is the true ruler of Pisces. So it's interesting, or I say the true ruler, is one of the rulers of Pisces, is also Jupiter as well. Now, Neptune being in a conjunction with this new moon in Pisces gives it a double Piscean meaning. You know, Neptune is all about the dreams, all about the soul, all about the merging. But, you know, Neptune is also very idealistic, very ethereal, very romantic, absolutely about higher love, unconditional forgiveness, unconditional compassion. And so I really think, you know, we are being encouraged to forgive. We're being encouraged to open our hearts. We're being encouraged to connect with people at a soul level, to see the soul's intention behind everything. So there's a really strong pull into intuition. Now, given that Neptune is also in the sign of Aries, there's a sovereignty to it. You know, Aries is very single-minded, very fiery, very ready to take action. And so I think we're going to see the birthing of spiritual leaders, the birthing of people in their spiritual careers, in their careers that fit in with their feelings of self-love and forgiveness. I think we're going to see a lot of new techniques and books and things like that being launched and worked on during this time as well. But spiritual leadership and the idea of spiritual ideology, creative ideology, oneness ideology, it's all going to start to come forwards. And maybe this is part and parcel of the rebirth that you're hoping for as well. Now, Saturn in Aries can be quite militant. He's wanting to create form and shape. You know, Saturn is a bit of a taskmaster, but actually he really does help us to refine things and perfect things and to have the discipline to get things moving. I mean, Neptune's not very disciplined. So, you know, I really see that our ideologies and our creative and spiritual purpose right now is taking shape. Saturn is giving us a discipline for it to take form and to come forwards, for us to be able to take action on it. So this particular stellium, you know, I've mentioned in previous recordings, this is about spirit taking matter. This is about us taking our spiritual life seriously. This is also bringing heaven to earth and manifesting something in a very sort of concrete and livable way. So this new moon has some very, very strong meanings, I would say. Now, there's also a stellium. So we've got Mercury going retrograde at the same time. We've also got the North Node at 8 degrees 58, just about to go direct. And we've also got Mars in the sign of Pisces. So we've got all three of them within 4 degrees of each other. Now, this is really, really special. First of all, within the last 4 days, all of them have been in conjunction with each other. So last week we saw the North Node and Mars connect. We've also seen Mercury retrograde and the North Node connect, and also Mercury retrograde and Mars connect. And now that the North Node is, has made these connections. The North Node is heading towards Aquarius, which you'll get to at the end of July. But Mercury is now moving forwards and is taking the energy of the North Node back to Mars to take action and move forwards again. So what's really been going on here is the Mars, the need to take action about the Pisces stuff, which is dreams, soul, creativity, the idea of us being fluid, the idea of us coming into our compassion a lot more. So Mars is really helping us there. The North Node, having connected with Mars, has linked in our need for spiritual action as part of our plan, as part of our life plan. It's kind of got us back on track, so to speak. But Mercury retrograde, anywhere where we've been lying to ourselves, fooling ourselves, kidding ourselves, getting confused, I think once Mercury retrograde goes forwards, it's like we are taking any of that confusion, any of those mixed messages, and we're now getting the understanding, the thing that we couldn't quite see before, and we're going to move forwards beyond that. So this new moon, even at the time of the new moon when Mercury is technically still retrograde, but still in a conjunction with the North Node, I still think we've got this unraveling of the hidden dream and the hidden spirituality and our intuition. Anything that's hidden, that's been quiet, that's been confused, it's coming up. And over the next few days, the days that follow this new moon, our message is going to come through stronger, more strident. We'll feel a call to action to start really moving beyond. And I see this is going to work very beautifully. We've also got Pluto and Uranus in a trine. And we've also got the Neptune-Saturn midpoint. And of course, the sun and moon, the new moon, are also there. So again, this is the midpoint between Pluto and Uranus. So this is a very, very big energy for this new moon to be carrying. You know, Pluto is about transformation, and he's very much about social change right now, and equality, and also the internet and all of the Internet of Things and all that jazz. Also, Pluto in Aquarius is talking very much about worldwide, one kind of world way of ordering things. Uranus in the sign of Taurus, he's about to go into Gemini. He's going to go into Gemini next month. That's going to be quite a ride. All of a sudden, Pluto's plans are going to move forward very, very quickly, because Uranus, I think, is putting in a lot of the technicalities. Uranus is very much about change, innovation, but it's also very much about the internet. So there's going to be a really strong move to transform us all very, very quickly. And for us all to take a sort of quantum leap forwards in terms of technology. Now, is that, in the best interests of humanity? I don't know. I have my own thoughts and feelings about this, but there is this very strong AI, Internet of Things energy rushing forwards right now. Now, it's interesting that the midpoint where Neptune and Saturn are, I think this is just showing where there is like a huge ideological, maybe even like an ideological possession that is manifesting and working with both of these energies. With a new moon, it's adding a lot of credence there. So I think it's really important for you to decide how you want these transforming energies of Pluto, which is catalyzing, it's encouraging us to make radical changes. And then Uranus, still just in Taurus, but Uranus itself is quite rebellious, is seeking independence, is seeking to shake things up. So to me, it feels like whatever is going on at this time, and obviously there's a lot of shake-up going on around the world, I think there's a radical and physical shake-up with this new moon. Now, this is the first new moon or full moon past the eclipse. So the last time the moon and the sun were working in a conjunction or in opposition was the lunar eclipse in Virgo just a short while ago, just 2 weeks ago. And so I always think, within 2 weeks of a new moon or a full moon, there can still be world events. There's loads of like earthquakes and storms and big tidal patterns that happen. And given that the new moon is happening in the sign of Pisces, which is all about the ocean, and it's in a conjunction with Neptune and also Saturn, to me, it feels like something is kind of really stirring behind the scenes in our waters right now. And with Pluto and Uranus and the alignment of them all working together in this, what's known as a minor grand trine, I think I wouldn't be at all surprised if we get some real world events. If you think that this is stirring the waters of the ocean, what's it doing to your own internal waters? So to put it into plain speak, to put it into how that might affect you, if you're ready for some kind of tsunami level change in your own life, if you're looking to shake things up, if you're looking to get some freedom, get some independence, if you're looking to make a change based on how you're using technology, either you're going to go all in and get very sort of technological, or you're really going to step out and go sort of Mad Max style, and very sort of independent. I can absolutely see both possibilities coming forwards. But to me, it feels like we're really understanding the energy of now and how it relates to our world. Now, something else with Pluto in Aquarius and also Uranus in this trine, and also these sextiles. Sextiles are incredibly busy. And so Pluto is actually in a sextile with the Sun, the Moon, Neptune, and Saturn. And so is Uranus. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sextiles born out of this minor grand trine. To me, this is showing a whole series of catalyzed events, one after the other, after the other, after the other. It's like there's a chain reaction, like one thing happens, another thing happens. And so my advice here is, if you know what you're birthing right now, if you know what you're absolutely passionate about with, and what has been revealed to you in the last week, in particular with the Mercury retrograde North Node and Mars in Pisces in their conjunction, there has been this kind of feeling of revelation, like new key parts to your story are coming forwards, fitting into place, and all of a sudden it's like a lock and key. I'm thinking of actually those barrel locks, where you got like different numbers. To me, it just feels like everything is lining up and new access is being granted in your unconscious mind. So I really think this is much bigger than we realize. Now, I am going to be doing a live moon session tomorrow night. I'm recording this on the 17th. Tomorrow night on Wednesday, the 18th, I'm recording a living moon session. And if you're part of my free community, you're welcome to come and join and talk about the moon with me. It's always very relaxed and laid back on Zoom, and we'll be talking about how the new moon might work for us, what themes might be going on in our different houses. So that's an opportunity for you. So that's the overall planetary picture that I'm really picking up on. And of course, we've also got Venus in a square with Jupiter. We've also got the sun the sun and moon in a sextile with Uranus, which is, these are very, very exact. Really showing that we're really wanting to go on instinct and being as spontaneous as possible. Anyway, let's have a look at Sabian Symbol. So this is Linda Hill's. I haven't actually looked at this yet, by the way. All I did was copy and paste it. I do recommend that you go to sabiansymbols.com, which is Linda Hill's amazing website. You select the actual degree you're looking for. So I selected 28 degrees Pisces. It always gets rounded up, because obviously it's not actually a full, it's not actually exactly 28 degrees. It's 28 degrees, 27. Anyway, this is her meaning for it. So light breaking into many colors as it passes through a prism. This shows analyzing things, considering and drawing conclusions from available data, being perceptive of colors, light refraction and reflection, auras, and light. You probably have the ability to break situations down into the simplest components in order to see the full picture. This can and often does lead to a greater understanding of the relationship between the whole and the many parts. Just be careful not to overanalyze, thereby losing the joy that's inherent in the simplicities of life. Taking a single vision, turning it into many individual streams can be rewarding, but it can also confuse and distract. Spectrum analysis, color and crystal healing, rainbows, light refraction, considering many facets of a situation, optics, sight, telescopes, microscopes, auras, copying ideas. So I love this. You know, if your project has got anything to do with your intuition, especially if it's got to do with healing, in particular, sound and light and vibration and frequency, to me, that really, really rings a big bell. If you are a designer of some sort, you know, anything that you can do that is breaking things down into side projects, little critiques or little like micro analysis of things sounds really great. I think being careful not to lose the joy in your project or wherever it is that you're working on it is really important. But to me, it's pulling together many threads and working with them simultaneously. Now, from a perspective of perception, to me, this is really speaking about multiple timelines and multiple lives, or living in different realities at the same time. So it appears that we're in one reality, but our actions in this one reality could be creating lots of other realities. So, I mean, it could get very, very trippy, is what I'm here to share. To me, this is a very sort of quantum Sabian symbol, really opening us up to lots of different truths. So I think this could be really, really big. When we go wrong with this energy, we can get locked into a set of parameters. We can get into over analysis, and we can be a bit blinded by our ambition and personalities. So yeah, this is a pretty trippy one, but it could be very helpful dependent on what you're doing right now. But refraction and color, aura and light seem to be the big keys here. Now, the final part then, if we look at this on an asteroid perspective, it's not just asteroids, actually. I've also got asteroid Huya. Don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. Huya is not actually an asteroid, it's a trans-Neptunian object. I've got a little bit of information from the Daykeeper Journal here about that. We've also got the Galactic Centre. For some reason, I couldn't bring it up, but it's here at 27 degrees in the sign of Sagittarius. So in fact, let's start there. So this particular new moon is exactly in a square with Huya, and pretty much exactly in a square with the Galactic Centre. Now, the Galactic Centre is the centre of our galaxy, so it's pretty important. It's an area of massive potential, the likes of which we just couldn't possibly imagine. It's got such a huge density. It's a black hole right at the center of our galaxy that everything apparently is being pulled to. So it's highly magnetic. It's got loads and loads of energy. It's kind of just like pulling us all in, and it represents cosmic intelligence. It is it is the all. I mean, it captures everything, and it has every possibility within it. And so to me, it feels like one of the things that is a benefit, but also a challenge with this new moon is it feels like we could tune into all that is. We could tune into everything. We can have a very divine idea. Now, it might not come naturally. It might come with a feeling of a bit of a disturbance or a frustration, given that there is a square. To me, it feels like we might need to work for it a little bit, but it's well worth the wait, and it's well worth any frustration that comes up. But yeah, the cosmic energy is huge. Now, Huya is a Venezuelan rain god. But when I was reading a little bit more deeply into it with the Daykeeper Journal, it really speaks of what are we giving ourselves or giving outside of ourselves. You know, it really talks about selflessness, actually. You know, it's a trans-Neptunian object, so it's somewhere out beyond our real known solar system. It's going into a place that we're not really familiar with, and it's also going into a place that's very transpersonal. So Neptune and Pluto are super duper transpersonal. It's not about what you're doing. It's not about you, it's about everyone else. And so what are we giving of ourselves? Like, what are we giving generously to people right now, or to the world, or to world energy, or to our loved ones? Where are we doing something for the pure joy of it and for the gift of it, and actually not for the return of it? Where are we really giving of ourselves? Because this is where it shows we make rain. So, like the phrase, make hay while the sun shines. This is the idea that, where we are giving of our gift in with no need for reciprocation, when we are just doing what we're here to do with our purpose, we are making rain for ourselves. We are making lots of rain. And of course, lots of rain could, give us lots of growth. So, where are you doing that? So to me, this is suggesting that you might be deciding to gift of yourself to the world in a much deeper way. Might be worth seeing where Huya is in your actual birth chart, and also the Galactic Centre, because it's really going to be lit up at the moment. But with those working together in a square to this new moon, you might feel this kind of uneasiness, but in like an imperative feeling, like I must share my gifts. I don't know how I'm going to do it. It feels really odd because I actually have a part-time job or a full-time job. I need to pay my bills. All of the real-time pressures on us. It's like, how can you give of yourself? How can you feel that like level of certainty? So it really wouldn't surprise me if, one of the things that's coming out of this new moon is a sense of your giftedness, and is a sense of what your purpose is and what you want to share, and the tension around sharing it. So this is huge, because the Galactic Centre is also informing how you might want to give of yourself. So it's like, how do you want to give of your cosmic self? Now, opposite Huya and the Galactic Centre, and in a square to the new moon, we've got 3, I would say, powerful asteroids. Hygeia I use a lot in my client work. Hygeia is very much about natural health and healing. She's a goddess to do with health and hygiene, and also the maintenance of your well-being. So, in terms of, I want to gift of myself, I want to be really cosmic, Hygeia is also asking, okay, how can you do it with a sense of hygiene and cleanliness to yourself? Are you going to overgive? Are you going to create an energy debt to yourself? Hygeia is saying, hang on, you can do that, but you have to get yourself clean and clear first. So there's a bit of a drama there, and maybe this new moon is really encouraging you to get crystal clear and pure and like absolutely hygienic. Sappho is an interesting one, often listed in terms of same-sex attraction and beautiful friendships, but she's also very much about creativity and art and poetry, and just the absolute beauty of life that flows through us naturally when we feel elevated because we're in friendships for the right reasons. And so to me, there's a real higher love going on here. So, you've got the energy of looking after yourself and the higher love of looking after yourself. To me, this is also implying that you might have some beautiful friendships that you might want to collaborate with, or indeed you become your own best friend and really look after yourself as if you absolutely treasure yourself, like you might treasure a good friend, like the best friend. And then Aphrodite, she is all about love and passion. She's also the Greek version of Venus, but she's here really representing, I think Aphrodite is a little bit more earthy than Venus. She is known for getting her needs met, but she's all about sensuality, beauty, love, and passion. So there's a lot here about loving, looking after yourself, really luxuriating in it. However, they are in a square to the sun and the moon, so some tension in it as well. It's not something that comes really easily. It's something that you have to get the ball rolling with and really work with. I really see that as a gorgeous opportunity. And then interestingly, we've got Panacea exactly in opposition, like to less than half a degree. in the sign of Virgo, which again is all about natural health and healing and purity and innocence. And panacea, if you think of like the panacea of all ills, like the idea of a magic tablet that is the panacea and heals everything. So it's health, it's medicine, it's the overall cure. So to me, it feels like there is this very strong tension with this new moon that is encouraging us to get clean and clear, really clean and clear, and to flow with the love and creativity of your inner nature, to cure yourself once and for all, and the challenges involved in doing that. And also, that's challenging is the idea that you are also a conduit of cosmic intelligence, and that you might want to give of yourself. So I really see a balancing act of really giving to yourself versus giving to everyone else, and also see the balancing act of being really in your intuitions and your idiosyncrasies and the individuality of being human versus the idea that there is this one panacea, this one overall cure to all of the ills of humanity. What that might mean and what that might represent, who knows? But it seems to be that being human is also to have dis-ease in the world. So I really think this this grand cross that's being formed by all of these asteroids, the Galactic Centre and the trans-Neptunian object to the new moon is pretty shattering, earth shattering. You know, it's really bringing up a strong energy. So that's where I want to leave this. You know, this is a really, really strong new moon, especially for dreamers, creators, poets, artists, healers. If you've been feeling ill, this to me is a call to take action. Doesn't sound like it's easy at first, but it sounds like once you get going, all of a sudden you connect into your own inner purity and innocence. And also cosmic intelligence is there to tune in with you. And given that this is happening right before the equinox, it's still at the tail end of that eclipse season as well. And it's in that very strong midpoint in between Pluto on one side and Uranus on the other. To me, it feels like you can really break free of the past and really connect into the moment of transformation. To me, this is a moment to just be a little bit quiet, a little bit refined and revered before, boom, we go into the new season. So I hope you found that helpful. Loads and loads of love to you. And if you would like to join me in my free community, you know, tomorrow night we're having that living moon session where we're going to be talking about the role of this new moon and how we might react to it. But I've also got loads of little learning opportunities, replays of hangouts and meetings that we've had in the community. And there's also a real absolute beginner's course. You know, there's the framework of it. There's a lot of material there that you can just download for free. And I'm also adding to it all the time. So join me in that community. All you need to do is scan the QR code, or you could just go to www.feelgoodastrology.com. No, www.school, that's skool.com/feelgoodastrology. And, you know, if you might want to work with me, feel free to just invite me to work with you. All you need to do is go to my Calendly link and it's all below and we can take it from there. But anyway, have a really great new moon into the equinox season. Lots of love.